Listen, you guys, I'm gonna need you to not judge me because I have another book haul for you, and it's a big one. Hello friends, I'm Rosa, welcome to the channel. So, just want a quick disclaimer out there. I do sound a little bit sick, let's just ignore it. It's gotten a lot better over the past couple of days, so I feel like it was okay to finally record again. But I have another bigger book haul. This one I think has like 27 books. I don't really know a lot. And it's actually surprised me how quickly I have collected enough books for another book haul video, because honestly I feel like I've been ordering fewer books. But then I remembered I literally made a small goal for myself at some point in July because I was like 5 books off of reaching 400 unique books. Like duplicates don't count. And I was just kind of like, I just really wanted to go for it. So I'm blaming it on that, okay? But anyway, as per usual, you can find links to all the books both through Amazon and Book Depository in the description box down below. The links are affiliate links, by the way, which means I do make a small commission if you happen to purchase any of them. And as always, I will be adding chapters to the timeline as well, so if you'd rather hear about the adult books that I have to show off today, you can just click on the chapter down here in the timeline. But let's get started showing off all these books because I have so many, and this is gonna take a while. So yeah, let's get started. So we're gonna start out with one middle grade book that I have, because last time I did a book haul, I started out with Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, which is basically my first and only middle grade book that I have in my office. So I was a little bit inspired by that, and I found out that Rick Riordan has done kind of a Percy Jackson series, but with Norse gods instead. So I found Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, the first book, which is called The Sword of Summer, used on Amazon, and I went for it. I'm a little bit nervous to read this, both because I've read that some of the things in this one are not necessarily super accurate to Norse mythology, and there's some other stuff as well that is a little bit questionable, but I'll talk to you guys about it once I've read it at some point. But it's kind of a little bit like Percy Jackson. We follow, I don't actually know his backstory, but we follow a guy who I think is supposed to be like Thor's or Tor's son, so he's like he's a demigod. He's half human, half god. And my guess is that he set out to find a sword, but I don't really know. Ooh, fire giants. Why fire giants? Why not frost giants? Yeah, I got questions already. So this is gonna be an exciting, fun read at some point, I think. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna raise some questions such as, why is he blonde when Thor is supposed to be a redhead? But anyway, I mean supposed to, you know what I mean. Or maybe you don't, that's fine. Then I got young adult fantasy, and oh my gosh, we're gonna start out with, had to throw that oh my gosh in there because this book I am so insanely excited for, and it's These Twisted Bonds. Oh my gosh, I thought I got it wrong for a second. By Lexi Ryan. And this is the sequel to These Hollow Vows, which I read with my patrons, like, I think it might have been in August last year or September or something. It's a while ago. And it was so good. Like, so I'm very protective of my Sarah J. Maas. Like, you guys know, I love her to bits. Call me basic, I don't care. But I will say that I don't fully get this whole like, this is a copy of it, or it's like heavily inspired by Sarah J. Maas. I don't get it. Just because we're dealing with fae, one is a whitehead. I know English. Just because one has white hair and the other is black hair does not necessarily mean, like, she does not have the rights to use that. Like, only her can use those hair colors, you know what I mean? So this is very much its own thing. We follow a girl whose name is Bree, who's not really had an easy time. I don't exactly remember how her family dynamics are, but I believe she has a sister, and she's like thrown out of, they're struggling money-wise, so she's like thrown out of where they're living and stuff, and she finds herself going to this ball in Feyland. And so much happens from there. I truly gotta brush up on that story before going into this one. I just realized. But there's a ball because the Fae prince basically has to find like his wife among all these girls. So there's a bit of a competition there too at this ball, and she's also dragged into some other drama stuff because she's sent on a mission to steal some things. There's a lot going on, but it's so cool. Yes, it was such a good read. I had such a fun time trying to guess everything that happened because it's twists and turns and characters, and there's a bit of a love triangle situation going on there, which granted I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of love triangles, but I felt like it worked. So I'm so excited for this, and I will be reading it and doing a vlog on it for Patreon, and hopefully it'll be read here in August because I need to. Like, my soul is just like, you gotta read this, you know? Next up, we have another sequel. This is actually a third book. It's The Blood Trader by Lynette Noni, and this is the third book in the Prison Healer trilogy. I've read this already. I loved it to bits. But in this trilogy, we follow our lead girl who has been stuck at this prison for 10 years, I think it is. Yeah, I think from 7 until she's 17. So like we start the story when she's 17. This prison is basically like you're sent there basically to die, so she's not expecting to be released at any point. Some weird stuff going down at this prison, like it's not a nice place to be. And while she's there, she's making friends with both this little guy. There's also this mysterious young, very handsome blonde guy who's very bubbly all the time. Who's also followed around by a girl all the time, or a woman I should probably call her all the time. So like it's very mysterious. And then one day, the rebel queen shows up. Or she doesn't show up. She's sent off to the prison. Shows up sounds like it's like willingly. She didn't do it, like she didn't choose to go to the prison. She shows up. She's sent there, but she's like in a coma. And because she's the rebel queen, the royals that are currently in power decide to put her up to a test, which is called the Trial of the Elements. So you have to go through like 4 different tests based on the elements. Of course, our rebel queen can't do that because she's in a coma. So our lead girl gets a message from the rebels. It's basically like, keep her alive. So she decides to take on these trials herself. And that's all I'm gonna say, because a lot of stuff happens from there, and oh my gosh. But this was really good. I was a little bit sad towards the end that there was nothing left of the trilogy. But I'm sure that I'll want to reread it at some point again because it was really good. Next up, we have a Fairy Loot exclusive, which is This Vicious Craze by Emily Teed? I don't really know how to pronounce the last name, but you can see right there. So this book, like I said, is from Fairy Loot. Like I usually do in my book hauls, whenever I have a special edition, I'm just going to show you a little bit about this, what makes it special. There's a color change on the cover. We have stenciled edges, which don't ever show up well on my camera because they're so yellow. But are they even focusing? Oh, they match my nails. Okay. But they're lemons and leaves, so it's a bit difficult to see. But we also have some beautiful foiling on the naked cover, which looks like this. And it matches the custom end papers that look like this on, or in the front of the book. And in the back, they look like, ooh, he's not very visible. They look like this. I also believe that it's signed. Yeah. We got a signature. So before I forget to say this, by the way, I do believe that this is a bit of an upper YA book, so it might be a little bit steamy. Just gonna throw that out there. But in this book, we follow our lead girl she has a power that's supposed to save, or at least that she wants to use to save the island that she lives on. It's supposed to magnify her partner's gifts. So she keeps getting married to guys and they keep dying because it doesn't turn out the way that it's supposed to turn out. Meanwhile, the island is being overrun by demons, and I think he's a priest who's kind of like spreading rumors about how killing our lead girl will actually solve this island's problems. Like the demons will go away if they end up killing her. Whatever. Crazy. So in a desperate attempt to survive, supposedly people trying to kill her, I don't really know, but in an attempt to survive at least, she hires a bodyguard who has some secrets of his own, and I'm pretty sure that those secrets are that he has magic and they're supposed to, like, her magic will end up magnifying his magic or something. Like, I'm pretty sure that's where we're going. I don't know anything about the story. That's just my guess. So I'm curious to know what the lemon thing is about. Like, why are there so many lemons all the time. All the time. Why are there lemons everywhere on this book? I want to know what's that about. But yeah, we'll be reading this one at some point soon because I was so hyped for it to be released. And now I have a special edition that I don't want to read, so I'm kind of stuck with it. I'll figure it out though. Ooh, then we got another special edition, also from Fairy Loot, but I'm reading this one here in August actually with my patrons, and that is Twin Crowns by Catherine Weber and Catherine Doyle. I love that they have the same first name, but they're spelled differently because it's co-authored. But anyway, this is another Fairy Loot, so it has an exclusive redesigned cover. It's a paperback, but a paperback with a redesigned cover. It's pretty cool if I may say so. It also has printed edges. I believe this actually came in the same box as Vicious or This Vicious Grace. I've heard so many lovely things about this book. I don't know if it's a debut, but I have no idea. Actually, should I put the books up here on my shelves? Link might be in the way. I'm gonna try that after we talk about this one. But in this book, we follow two sisters who at birth were separated from each other. So one grows up being the heir to the throne. She's grown up to kind of, like, she's been taught to fear the witches that are threatening to take over the throne. And the other sister has actually grown up with the witches. So it's a sister story, but it's a sister on two different sides of this battle that's going on, and I'm excited to hear how it's gonna turn out. I have two sisters myself, so sister stories kind of have a special place in my heart, if you will, and I'm excited to see where this one goes. So we're gonna place them up here from now on. Next up, we have an Illumicrate special edition that I'm probably not gonna read, and I don't really know how to summarize it either because I'm just not interested in it. The thing is, I really wanted this box, but not so much the book in the box, but it's We All Fall Down by Rose Jabo, or Sabo. I don't really know if it's an exclusive cover. I don't think so, but it's signed, and it also has these stunning edges. Like, the edges are amazing. They're beautiful, love them. It's just a bit of a shame that they're on a book that I'm just not interested in at all. Not to be like super negative or anything, it's just, I've heard some things about this book that some people find problematic, and I have so many other books that I like. Sure, I should form my own opinion on it, maybe, depending on what it is, but I have so many other books that have never gotten any comments like that, so I think I just want to stick to those. It's a gorgeous copy nonetheless, though. Although I do wish Illumicrate had done a little bit more with it, because there's not really, like, other than the edges, there's not really no fancy end papers, no foiling on it either, so it's just kind of like, there's not a whole lot going on it, which is a bit of a shame. And then we have an Owlcrate. An Owlcrate special edition, which is Together We Burn by Isabel Ibanez. And how do I start to summarize what this book is about? We follow our lead girl, who is the daughter. She's a flamenco dancer, a very good flamenco dancer, and she's also the daughter of one of the most famous dragon hunters in this world. Unfortunately, I believe something happens to her father during a hunt, I'm assuming. Either a hunt or some kind of like show, whatever they do with the dragons, I'm not really sure. And our lead girl finds herself on her own. Unfortunately, there is a guild who kind of control various things, including inheritances, and because of this thing that happened to her father, they don't want to let her get her inheritance. So to avoid it being taken from her, she hires a dude to train her to become a dragon hunter as well. And I believe maybe they dance a lot too, I'm not really sure. Well, he has a sword on, or not he has a shield on his back. I never noticed until now. But he's a dragon hunter, or a dragonador as they call him. This edition, like I said, is from Owlcrate. It's super cool. I will show you why. But first of all, it has an exclusive redesigned cover. It also has foiling on the naked cover with a quote from the book, and also foiling on the back of the book. It also has cool end papers that look like dragon scales. It's also signed right here. And it has super cute art on the inside of the dust jacket by Pauhami, who is so talented. So it looks like this. They're sitting on a dragon. It's quite cool. Quite cool. And that was Together We Burn. So I got myself one shelf that's filled up now. Let's move on. Then I got one book another book, right? Yeah, that I bought used, and that is Truth Witch by Susan Dennard, who I believe is coming out with a new book very soon, actually. Also, I thought this was going to be a small hardback, but it's not. It's a big one. Kind of funny to me. I don't really know why I thought it was going to be a small hardback, but here we are. But in this book, we follow, I believe, not just one lead girl, but possibly more than one. But our main lead girl in the first book is Sophia, who is a truth witch. So she has the ability to tell lies. Or not tell lies, but like she can tell when someone's lying. Yes, everyone can lie. It's just a question of if you're doing it badly. Anyway, she can tell when someone is lying. She has this, she's made an unlikely friend with another girl who is a thread witch. Don't really fully understand what that ability is about, but I'm expecting to figure it out. Oh, and Sophia is also, I believe she's actually a royal, but she's keeping her ability a secret because the royals would use the ish out of her if they knew what she's capable of. So along with her friend, the Thread Witch, and a Blood Witch, and also a Wind Witch, the four kind of make an unlikely alliance and are basically sent out going on an adventure or whatever they're doing because there's war going on in the land as well. So it's a bit about, like, I think there's a lot of politics over it, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'm sure that I'm one of the last people on the planet to read this book, but I'm excited nonetheless. Also because different kinds of magic, for some reason, just appeals to me a lot. Like, it's just kind of cool having, like, these very unique abilities and such. So it's one of the reasons I like Ekotar, because they have these different areas, and depending on where you're from, you have different abilities. I think it's just really cool. I don't know what it is. Elemental magic too? So cool. Like, why is magic not a real thing? So sad. Anyway, moving on. We got ourselves a couple more fantasy books. This one, I actually don't really know what's about fully, but I'm super hyped to read it. And it's Our Crooked Hearts by Melissa Elbert. I believe this actually has a mystery over it, so it's not just fantasy. And what I do know is that I've completely forgotten the plot, but also that there's witches involved. So more magic. So cool. But as far as I can gather, aside from a mystery and witches, there's also a question of, like, family bonds a little bit. I honestly don't really fully want to know what it's about. It's one of those books. I just want to go in, which I feel like is a fitting thing for a mystery book, right? Like, you don't necessarily want to know. You just want to be introduced to the mystery. Just have it shoved in your face. I don't need to know, you know? Let me be surprised. And then I got one that I actually already own, but I love this version of it, this edition of it. So I got the UK version of Six Crimson Cranes because I pre-ordered the UK version of A Dragon's Promise. Or The Dragon's Promise? The Dragon's Promise. I currently have the US edition of Six Crimson Cranes as well, but I just like these way more because look at the colors. The colors are gorgeous. How could you pass up on this? So this was also a book that I really enjoyed when I read it last year. It was so cute. In it, we follow Shiori, who is, would you call her princess? Her dad's the emperor. Does that make her a princess? I'm gonna call her princess, yes. And she has 6 brothers. And Shiori lives in she's the princess of a place, a world where magic is forbidden. You cannot perform it, you cannot have it, it's forbidden. However, Shiori herself actually has magic, so she tries her best to keep it hidden because otherwise she's gonna end in trouble. She has been kind of promised away to a guy who is the prince of some kind of place up north in this world though, and on the day that she's supposed to meet him, some stuff happens. Shiori does not want to meet him, so she kind of runs off. Turns out that her stepmother is, I'm just gonna not, because I don't know what... She's not who she says she is, and essentially ends up turning Shiori's 6 brothers into cranes, and also puts a curse on Shiori so Shiori cannot talk, because if she does, one of her brothers will die. So for every time she talks, one of her brothers is gonna die. So Shiori runs off, she's in exile. The only help she has is from her paper bird Kiki and a dragon as well, who the whole dragon system is a little bit different in this book, so don't think like a major huge kind of dragon, just think like a little cute kind of serpent. And there's a lot of stuff happening and it's so cool, it's so cute, it's an adventure book. I will say, just having read this already, and as a fan of dialogue in my books, despite there not being a whole lot of it, this was very enjoyable, so I will tell everyone to read this because it was so cute. And the sequel is coming out so soon, and I'm so excited. Moving on to the next book. Well, I think this might be the last one of the fantasy books. So we have Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. They're not in here anymore. I already have these as paperbacks, but I have made the decision to get them as hardbacks. This is bought purchase though. Okay, that made sense. This is bought used though, so it has yellow pages. Am I the only one who does not like care that the pages are yellow in my books? Like, I just don't care. Don't know what it is, but it does not bother me, not one bit. I will highlight, like, I will tell you that they're yellow, but it's not because it bothers me. I'm just because clearly this is an older copy because the pages are quite yellow, but it's kept so well. There's barely any damage on the dust jacket whatsoever, and I'm so impressed. I also want to ask, are all the copies signed? Is that a thing? Like, I think it's a digital signature, but is that a thing? Kind of took me by surprise when I opened it. I think it's digital. Oh, it's a first edition. It might not be digital. I don't know what to do by myself right now. Anyway, but this is the first one in the Dark Artifices trilogy where you follow Emma Carstairs, who is so in the first one, Mortal Instruments, we are in the New York Institute in the Infernal Devices, which is my favorite trilogy. Just love it. Looking forward to the last hours too, but listen, the Infernal Devices, ride or die, go read it. But we are in the London Institute, so in this one we are in the Los Angeles Institute, I think. I think it's the Los Angeles one. And I believe it's in the end of the Zeros, so about 2009. It's a Shadowhunters book. If you don't know the Shadowhunters, honestly, I don't really know what happens in this one other than probably drama. But I do know Shadowhunters. They are basically human or not human, because they have angel blood in them. And they are brought up to fight creatures that overstep rules or like break rules that there's in place to basically protect the mundane, so as humans. So like if there's a vampire who suddenly starts hunting humans, they're gonna get got by the shadow hunters. I just put it on that was The Wire lingo, I'm so sorry. Yeah, they're gonna get taken down. And they also have runes, so they can, they use a stele to basically put runes on their bodies to give them different abilities as well. It's very cool. Listen, if you haven't introduced yourself to the Shadowhunter universe, you definitely should, because they're cool and you deserve to get to know them, especially the ones in the Infernal Devices. They're my babies. Anyway, moving on. So I'm very excited to have the hardcover of Lady Midnight so far. I'm looking forward to be reading that trilogy at some point. Don't know when, because like time, but it's gonna happen. They're just very thick books. They're a little bit intimidating. Okay, I think that's it for my young adult fantasy books and also my middle grade, so I'm gonna take these down. We're gonna continue with a little bit of sci-fi. So next up I have 4 books that are in the same series that I bought from Fairy Loot like back in January. I actually bought them for myself for my birthday because I feel like it's okay to treat yourself on your birthday. Not that I don't buy books throughout the whole year, but I'm gonna use that as an excuse this time. So I saw them post this around December and then they went on sale in January and I was like, you gotta get them. You just have to. I've not read these books before, but I loved how they looked, and sometimes you just gotta buy stuff based on the cover. It's just how it is. I don't make the rules, okay? So I got the Rebel Quartet by Mary Lou. Isn't that called Legend? It is called Legend. I looked at the bottom book first and was like, that doesn't sound right, because it wasn't. Yeah, I got the Legend Quartet, there we go, by Mary Lou, and don't even know how to show these off, so you can probably see we have some stenciled edges right here. The color choices for these books is quite interesting. I love it, don't get me wrong, but it is quite interesting because they're very like brown, and then you got one that's almost like a beige. It stands out a little bit, but I adore the stenciled edges. I adore the colors. The best part though, by far, is the fact that the spines make up the logo. It's so cool. I know that it's not really shown off pretty well on the cam, but that's because I can't really hold the books. But they look like this. The spines are super cool. So let me just hold one of them up because they're so heavy. Oh, and they're naked hardcovers too. which is pretty nice. So the front of the cover basically all look like this. They're the 10th anniversary edition too. They just have like different logos. So for example, the Rebel one has the butterfly and this one has the logo. They also have end papers that look like this that match the stamp here at the front. And I believe every single one of them is signed as well by Mary Lou. Yeah, which is super cool too. Like, all 4 of them are signed. That said though, don't fully know what these books are about. I don't remember. I have read the synopsis before, but I don't remember. It's been a while, and the synopsis is actually not in the book. So that's all I'm gonna give you this time, but I'm looking forward to reading this at some point, although I will not be reading these editions because I just have I know it's weird buying books and then deciding not to read them because they're too pretty, but I'm paranoid. I'm paranoid and clumsy. I know myself. I know that if I start reading them, they're gonna break. And I will tell you why I know this, because I've only read 2 of my special editions. One was The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, which is still fine, but the other one was only a monster and it literally broke. So I'm just not going to. I know myself, I know my limits, and reading special editions is past my limit, so I'm just not gonna, we're not doing that. They're too pretty and they cost too much. I'm gonna take care of them. I'm very, very excited to have that set though. It's super pretty. Love it. And then I got another Mary Lou book. This one was purchased used. I gotta sneeze. And it is Warcross. Now it looks like I've been crying. Okay. So what I know of this book is that there's hacking involved, and it's got to do with a video game called Warcross. We have a girl who is very good at hacking. I think she's a bit of a bounty hunter, so she finds people that basically hack their way to better results in this game. That's what she does for a living. And she's also contacted by this guy who I believe he has something to do with the creation, if he is the creator of the game or if he's just like on the board or like director or something, but he is basically asking her to do a job for him, which includes uncovering a security problem because there's a Warcross tournament about to happen, and as it turns out, something a little bit more sinister than just a security problem is actually going on. So I thought the whole like hacking and computer game aspect to this was super cool. As someone who plays a lot of computer myself, I'd love to read about it at some point. So, or at least like a take on it, inspiration taken from video gaming and stuff. So I thought this was like, I heard about this book ages ago, just never got it. Saw it was up cheap because it's used, and I was like, I gotta get it. So here we are. And I love that it's so rainbow as well. And then we have one more sci-fi book. At least I think this one is sci-fi. Actually not fully knowing what this book is about. It might not be sci-fi, but it's The Darkest Minds by Alexander Bracken. I bought this used as well. It was like super cheap. It's in such good condition, by the way. Like, I'm impressed. Whoever had this book before me really took care of their books. And you have my respect. I don't know who you are, but respect to you. However, don't really know what it's about. I just was very curious about it. Do you guys ever get like that? Like, you don't really know, but you just kind of need to know, but like you don't want to read the synopsis either. This is that book for me. So I'm gonna not, but The Darkest Minds by Alexander Bracken, who also wrote Lore that I've not read yet. Don't at me. It's fine. I'll get to it. So those were my young adult sci-fi. Obviously, I'm a little bit of a fantasy kind of girl, but I'm trying. I'm trying to get better at the sci-fi. It's a work in progress. And then we have some adult books that we're going to talk about. So first off, I want to talk about a book that I'm currently actually reading and that I've shown off 2 other copies of, I think. And that is Book of Night. Like in a previous book haul, I got both the Illumicrate and the Fairy Loot versions. This is the Owlcrate version. They sent it to me. Thank you, Owlcrate. This is also stunning, by the way. Love this. This might be my favorite one of the versions that I have. I don't know, it's just nice. There's a lot of foil on it, but it's just nice. Like, it's really, really pretty. It has black sprayed edges that you can see just plain black, just like the other 2. It has a little bit of foiling on the naked cover right here. It says, "The universe belongs to the curious." It's not a quote I've come across yet. It also has end papers that look like this, so they're basically shadows. I think, like, it looks like there's some stars going on and stuff, but don't really know. And on the back as well, by the way, is a quote So you can read that right here if you want to. Once upon a time, a boy was born with a hungry shadow. As someone who's in the process of reading this right now, I still don't know who that's about. I don't know. Will say though, I don't know how to summarize this so far, except that think like shadow magic, and there's a book of Night. What's it called? Liber Noctem? Something like that. Has gone missing, or at least parts of it has gone missing. And our woman, I should probably say she's not much of a girl. I think she's entered womanhood, but her name is Charlie, and she has basically been brought up, trained to steal, and she's a bit of a con artist, but she doesn't really do that stuff anymore. However, she's dragged into this, and that's all I'm gonna say, I think. Also because I have never read the synopsis, and I don't actually know how much is mentioned in the synopsis. So I'm gonna be a little bit careful, but not my favorite read so far, though. I'm having a bit of a hard time with it as it is right now, being 100 pages into it. I feel like not much is happening, I'm not gonna lie. But I'll talk about that in my monthly reading wrap-up next time I do one of those. Or at least, no, after I finish this next month. Next month, I got you. Then we have a Fairy Loot adult book edition, a Fairy Loot edition, yes, which is be careful with your eyes now. Brace yourselves, because it's very yellow, but that is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. So if you've seen this circulating, it's usually pink with, I believe, is the symbol black or is it white? And the text is white or black? I don't really remember which way it is, but it's very pink. Usually it's very pink. Today it matches my nails, so that's a thing. And it has, is that upside down? No, but it has a quote here, which is very much Latin, I would think, if my camera would focus on it. There you go, which is pretty cool. I mean, the edges are pretty cool. I just don't know what they mean right now. It also has a very funny print on the very pink naked cover, which looks like this. It's a goat, and it's so pink. Like, it's extremely pink. It's very, very pink. I kind of like it, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, why? I don't know, there's something funny about it, but at the same time, I'm like, that is so pink. Why is it so pink? The end papers look like this. It's also signed, and I think those are the additions to it and the changes. As for the content of the book, as far as I know, we follow 4 friends who work in Her Majesty's Royal Coven, or HMRC. Which is pretty funny. So HMRC is, if you don't know, because I'm assuming that it's not actually like general knowledge unless you are either from the UK or you've lived in the UK. Hi, I lived in Scotland for 3.5 years. I've had to deal with HMRC, but they do like, it's revenue and customs. So they do tax stuff, for example. I just think it's very funny that it's Her Majesty's Royal Coven. But it's a bit of a joke that flies over people's head unless they actually know HMRC, which not everyone does. Now you do though, you're welcome. But in this book, we follow 4 women who are witches, and they work in the, or in Her Majesty's Royal Coven. There's something about prophecy and something about backstabbery as well, but that's really all I know about it. I'm excited to read this. I think it will read a little bit less adult, possibly, but at least like language wise, but maybe with some swearing. So I mean like, or writing style wise, I should say, but with swearing. I'm not really sure how to phrase this, but hopefully my point is coming across. I don't know, sometimes it doesn't. If you got any questions, let me know. But I'm thinking it'll be a little bit fun to read at some point. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But thank you, Fairy Loot, for sending that to me. I appreciate it a lot. Then we have one that, I'll admit, I purchased this because it was super hyped at some point. I have no idea what it's about, but it's The Final Strife. It's by Sarah El Afiri. Will she rule the empire or destroy it? It's a good question. I don't know. This is the UK cover. You might have seen another cover with a lady on it. Oh, the end papers here are beautiful, by the way. I completely forgot. But we have gorgeous end papers that look like this. Look at the art. Stunning. She's so beautiful. I love when standard editions as well have like a, ooh, watch out for the spoilers, but I love when they have a little bit extra to them. I also feel like Harbor Voyage does, or Voyage, whatever. I want to say Voyage, but I feel like they do a pretty good job at like adding just a few touches to their standard versions. So, but let's see what this book is about. The Aktabar, a set of trials held every 10 years to find the next emperor rulers of the empire, is about to begin. All can join, but not just anyone can win. It requires great skill and ingenuity to become the future emperor wardens of strength, knowledge, truth, and duty. Scylla was destined to win the trials and become warden of strength. Stolen by blue-blooded rebels as an infant, she was raised with a duster's heart, forged as a weapon to bring down the empire from within. When her adopted family were brutally murdered, those dreams of a better future for all turned to dust. But Scylla wasn't made to sparkle, she was born to burn. And as the trials draw near, it's time for her to decide, will she rule the empire or destroy it? It's kind of funny as well when you come across, because I don't know what a strife is. When you come across titles that you don't really know what mean. Listen, English is not my first language. I don't know what a strife is, but I have it. I have the book, so super exciting. If you've read it, by the way, let me know what you thought, because I'm curious. I would love to know. We got 2 more adult books, so one that is seemingly damaged on the cover. Dang it. And it's fantasy, and the other one is a sci-fi one. But first off, we have Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed. They also wrote The Woodsman and the Wolf. I know what the cover looks like, but for some reason I can't remember the title. Yeah, okay. But this is a retelling of the Juniper Tree. I don't really know that story, so I literally know nothing going into it, which is gonna be exciting, but I'm expecting it to be a little bit of a darker kind of fantasy though, and I was really in the mood for that when I decided to pre-order it, because sometimes you just need like a little bit with like a dark kind of vibe to it. I think this also has fairy tale vibes to it, so a dark fairy tale, that sounds pretty fun, right? I feel like it does. So once I'm in the mood for something like that again, I will definitely pick it up. But yeah, don't know much about it, other than I think there's a pair of sisters in it. And that's basically it. Listen, I'm not scared to admit it when I don't know what my books are about. It is the way it is, and that's just it. And next up is actually another one that I don't really know what it's about, but I spend a lot of time on Illumicrate's Discord server actually, and they were raving over this series because they included an item in one of their boxes that was inspired by book 2 in the series, and it brought up a lot of talk about the books on their server, and I was just kind of like, oh, I need to, like, FOMO kind of hit, you know? So I saw it was basically discounted by a lot on Book Depository, or Book Depository. I don't know how to pronounce it actually, I've realized recently, but anyway, but the book is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Sorry, I've for some reason completely made up a different title in my head for it, but it's by Becky Chambers. Also winner of the Hugo Award for Best Series. So like, the people on the Illumicrate server must be onto something, you know? But as for like content-wise, I don't really know. I just know that it's sci-fi, and I've heard that it's amazing. So I'm really excited to get started with it at some point, but don't really know much about it. And that's basically it for my adult books. I don't really have a lot of them this time. There'll be more next time, I think, because I've been trying to get better at buying more adult books instead of, or at least like fantasy and sci-fi, because I do have a fair amount of adult contemporary books by now, but not so much fantasy and sci-fi. So speaking of contemporary, I got a couple. I'm gonna leave those here because there's only 5, so we're just gonna jump straight into it. First off, I want to talk about, I only got 3. One is actually a mystery, but it's still a contemporary. But first off, I want to talk about It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, which I've already read, loved it, already ordered the sequel because I loved it. But in this book, we follow, oh gosh, is her name Piper? I think her name is Piper, who is a bit of a spoiled, a bit. She's kind of like an it girl in Los Angeles, I think it is. So she's not really, but she's like very superficial. She never takes any responsibility. She causes trouble all the time. She has a lot of flings as well, doesn't really do relationships, or she doesn't know how to do relationships. But that's because everyone that she's around all the time are so superficial. Like, all they care about is image and being friends with the right people. Like, she's in that kind of scene. And unfortunately for Piper, something happens one day. She's broken up with a guy and she kind of has a reaction to that, causes some trouble, breaks into a hotel, and her stepfather is kind of like, I'm not having this anymore. I'm sending you off to Westport, Washington, which is a fisher's town. So her and her sister are basically sent off to Westport, which is completely out of their elements, especially Piper's. But at this fisher town, she comes across Brendan, who is this dude over here. And at first he's not very nice to either her or her sister. He's very unwelcoming, despite being like, this is the most welcoming town ever. Everyone loves everyone here, but at the same time he's like, go away. Like, it's just kind of, make up your mind, dude. So the book is about the two of them getting to know each other, but also about Piper finding her roots, finding her place in the world, getting to know herself better, and figuring out that maybe she's a little bit more than just her follow number on Instagram, and that there's a little bit more to life than just making the right connections, very superficial connections. Because I will just say, as someone who does YouTube, is technically in the same business as she is, we do make proper friends. I just want to say, I was having a few issues while reading this book. I was like, I felt a bit targeted. Like, not everyone's that superficial in this business, but it was quite funny to read about anyway. And Piper is, at least once you get into it, she's very charming. So if you don't like her at the start, just hang in there. I promise it gets better throughout the book. So, and then I have a Taylor Jenkins read book, which is Malibu Rising. This was another one that I found very cheap on Book Depository when I ordered it. Don't really know what it's about other than we follow some siblings, possibly some friends. Siblings and friends. And there's a party that goes completely ham. So that's really all. I feel like this is very much a summer read. Like, might just be the cover, but I feel like it's very much a summer read. So I should probably get on this before the summer is over. Should this be my first Taylor Jenkins read book? Should I do it? Let me know. I don't really know, but literally says a Sex on the Beach cocktail off a book. That screams summer to me, so most definitely. But yeah, let me know if I should pick this up soon. If I'm right about it being a bit of a summer kind of book. Would love to know before summer's over. Otherwise I'm gonna have to wait until next year. I'm not that patient of a person, so like let me know. And the last book is another Tessa Bailey book. It's My Killer Vacation, which I bought on a whim after, like, I think I was halfway through It Happened One Summer. I was just like, I gotta get this next book because it's coming out soon. I think at least. Or maybe it was just released. I don't remember anymore. But in this book, we follow two siblings who've gone on vacation. Unfortunately, there's a body in the rental house that they've rented. And unfortunately as well, a bounty hunter shows up and he's very rude to our lead girl. But there's a whole lot of, like, could you imagine showing up, like, okay, I'm sitting here laughing, but I feel like it would be pretty traumatizing if it actually happened, but showing up to, like, an Airbnb and you get in there and there's a dead body in there, that's this book. But also with a hot bounty hunter who's a bit of a douche at the start, I'm assuming. But I'm also assuming that they make up at some point because they're hugging on the cover. So is that a spoiler? Anyway, I'm excited to read this, possibly with my patrons next month. Don't really know yet. Also, these two books fit so well in their color scheme. I love it. But yeah, that's why this one is a bit of a mystery book as well, because it's an adult contemporary romance, but there is some mystery over it. So I'm assuming we're gonna get some questions to like, why is there a dead body in their rental, for example, at some point in the book. But oh gosh, I've been talking for so long. That's my book haul for now. But there'll be another one soon, I'm pretty sure, because I have no self-control. So 25 books. Yeah. If you've read any of them and you like them, let me know. If you didn't, also let me know. Again, if you want links to any of the books, I have added them to the description box down below. But that's all I got for you guys today, so I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to give the video a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you liked the video but also want to see more from me, both more book hauls but also bookish unboxings, 24-hour readathons, TBR videos, reading wrap-ups, you know, the whole booktube thing, consider hitting the subscribe button as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have to say for today, so I hope you all enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.